Today, we have even more evidence that the New York Jets continue to win the Jamal Adams trade. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. My name is Jake Asman. It is a Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here on the channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Jamal Adams. Unfortunately, you never root for injuries in professional sports, but Jamal Adams needs season-ending surgery for a torn labrum. He will be out for the year for the Seattle Seahawks. So with the Jets obviously having Seattle's first-round pick this year, we will talk about how the Adams injury impacts the Jets' draft status and obviously what it means for the Jets, historically speaking, in regards to one of the great trades the Jets have ever made, maybe the best trade they've ever made in their franchise's history. Before we dive into that, though, I do want to tell everyone that support for the Jake Asman Show is presented by our good friends over at Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. They offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped has launched the 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, 4.0. Join the over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you head over to manscaped.com and use my promo code Asman. The upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on-off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. So once again, 20% off, free shipping with the code Asman at manscaped.com. That's 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com. Use promo code Asman. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job at Manscaped. With that being said, let's start diving into today's video involving Jamal Adams. We will open it up to some comments and questions at the end. Please like and subscribe. That's how this channel can continue to grow. Jamal Adams, he needs season-ending surgery for a torn labrum. I want to make it very clear, I'm not happy that Jamal got hurt. I'm happy that the Jets made that deal. I was happy at the time. It continues to look even better, but I'm not rooting for Jamal Adams to get injured. You know, he's someone that is a really good player, despite what, how things played out with the Jets. So I'm not rooting for his injury, but we got to talk about the significance of his injury because it does impact the New York Jets, obviously. So you look at this deal when it was made. The Jets were going to be bad with or without Jamal Adams going into last season, right? They could have went 2-14 with Jamal Adams playing safety, or they could have went 2-14 like they did with Jamal Adams not playing safety for the New York Jets. The reality is, since the Jets traded Jamal Adams, he has not been the same player. Jamal Adams should be thanking Greg Williams for getting him the money that he did. The Jet fan, honestly, we all should be thanking Greg Williams for the way he deployed Jamal Adams because he used him differently than how Seattle's been using him. Jamal Adams did not have a sack this year. I'll talk more about what he's done production-wise in a moment, but it never made any sense for the Jets when Jamal wanted to be paid the highest paid safety in NFL history. It didn't make sense when he had the diva qualities to give him that type of deal when the Jets were nowhere near ready to win as long as Sam Darnold was their quarterback and Adam Gase was their head coach. I mean, the numbers for Jamal Adams this year, they're just, to be brutally honest, they're terrible. Like they're awful. I mean, Seattle, first off, trades 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick for him. Then they made him this offseason, or right before the season, I should say, the richest safety in NFL history. 4 years, $72 million deal. Then Adams goes out there this season, and he has 0 sacks. He's ranked 90th out of 97 in pass coverage, and he wasn't even in top 10 against the run. Right now, that first-round pick that the Jets have this year from Seattle, right now, that first-round pick is 5th overall. Now, do I think Seattle wins a couple games here down the stretch? Yes, they're playing the Houston Texans, who are terrible on Sunday here in Houston. They'll probably win that game. But I think the pick is going to be in the top 10. My projection is the Jets will get the 7th overall pick from the Seattle Seahawks in the Jamal Adams trade. That's where I'm aiming. That's where I think the range is going to be for the Jets in that situation. But regardless of where the pick ends up being, the fact of the matter is the Jets have already won this deal. They didn't have to pay Jamal Adams. You think Jamal Adams is worth $18 million a year? You know what the Jets' record would be right now if Jamal Adams was on their team? It'd be 3-9. Jamal Adams is a good player, but he plays a non-premium position. Safeties don't win you games in the NFL unless you're Ed Reed. Like, Jamal Adams is a liability in pass coverage. Jamal Adams might be worse in pass coverage than Ryan Gosling was in Remember the Titans. Like, that's what we're talking about here. And Jamal's really good at blitzing. This year, doesn't have a sack, though. Seattle's not using him the same way they did even last year, where Jamal almost had 10 sacks. He's not good. Like, he's not good in the way they're using him. He gets beaten coverage all the time. There's been a couple plays this year, too, where it looks like Jamal Adams is making a business decision not to go full speed and try and tackle a defender or tackle an offensive player, because he doesn't want to get hurt. There's been multiple examples of that we could point to and find on tape. So, you look at Jamal Adams this year. Last year, he was dealing with a shoulder injury that required some work in the offseason. Now he's dealing with another shoulder injury this year. A torn labrum is not a joke. Jamal Adams is only 26 years old, but this is back-to-back years where he's dealing with significant shoulder problems. Do we think he's going to be the same player next year and the year after for Seattle? I don't know. I would probably lean towards no, but even if he is still really good, he plays safety. He plays a non-premium position. So, I loved Jamal Adams when he was here. He had the right attitude at the beginning. He wanted to be part of the change. But the way he threw the organization under the bus, the way that he used, mental health issues playing for a losing team as a reason why he wanted out, like, that's not funny to even bring up. Like, it's just not true. You were on a 7-9 team in 2019, Jamal. You're so depressed. Like, it's just a bad look. The way he conducted himself was a bad look. It was all about getting money, getting paid. And when he blasted Gase publicly to the New York Daily News, you knew the Jets were going to move on. But the fact that they turned him into 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick is downright historic. And let's talk about the fact that they've already turned one of the first-round picks into one of the best rookies in the NFL this year. Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman for the Jets going forward. You have left guard locked up for, let's hope, the next decade. That's what you turned one of the first-round picks already into. So, someone that, maybe he's not paying attention to the Jets because they're a bad team would say, well, the Jets are just going to draft bust with those picks. Well, tell them to, one, shut the bleep up, because they already turned one of the first-round picks into a stud left guard in AVT. And then, you also have to respond with this. Even if, like, Jamal Adams, ends up being, like, really good, would you do a 1-for-1 trade right now, Adams for AVT? No, you wouldn't, even before the injury. Like, I'd rather have a stud left guard than a stud box safety that can't cover. So, that's if we're just doing like a 1-for-1 trade. Now factor in, right now the Jets have the 5th overall pick because of the Adams deal, because Seattle's been awful this year and Russ has been hurt. So you factor all that in, you already got AVT. You got another top 5 pick that I think will still end up being in the top 10 when it's all said and done. You're talking about a historic trade that could set the Jets up for years to come. Like, Jamal Adams is a big part of the Jets' future here. They got 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. They got 4 picks in the top 40, thanks to the Adams deal, and obviously thanks to the Sam Darnold trade, which also was a brilliant move by Joe Douglas. But let's be real. Getting 2 first-rounders for a box safety that can't cover is the best win the Jets have had in the past 2 years. Now, I say that as someone who's a diehard Jets fan and wants to see them actually win more games on the field, but we got to call it how we see it. This trade has been that good for this team, and now it's on Joe Douglas to stack together another great draft class like he has for 2021 and go into 2022 with 7 picks in the first 4 rounds, 4 picks in the top 40, hit on these picks, and the Jets should be a team that's competing for a playoff spot next year. Enough of the losing, right? I could talk about how great these trades are. Jet fans, we want to win. And I think they're set up to now win, knowing full well that they have, this core of young players, right? Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, AVT, Zach Wilson, I think will be a good quarterback for this team going forward. Just be patient with him. They're going to use free agency in the draft to fix this defense. And, like, let's go. Let's start winning games. And plus, what's really funny about the Jamal Adams situation? He left the Jets and wanted to go to a winning team. Well, if Russell Wilson asks out this offseason, which I think he will, because he's going to want to change the scenery, and Pete Carroll might retire, Jamal Adams is going to be on the Jets. They just play in Seattle starting next year if that happens. A team without a quarterback and a team with without an experienced coach. Sounds a lot like the Jets the last 10 years. So Jamal wanted to leave the Jets. Instead, he found the Jets version just in the Northwest. It's kind of funny if you say it out loud and break it down that way. But the reality is, look, I'm not happy that he's out for the year. I don't root for injuries, but this trade was a disaster before he got hurt. I mean, how many of you realize Jamal Adams doesn't have a sack this year? I feel like that's not being talked enough about. Like, we knew Jamal Adams was good at rushing the quarterback. Greg Williams got him paid a fortune by deploying him the way he did in 2019. But Jamal Adams has 0 sacks this year. And once again, folks, He ranks 90th out of 97 in pass coverage, and he wasn't even top 10 against the run this year. He's just been bad, and they're paying him a fortune. They're paying him more money than any safety has ever been paid. We could get on Joe Douglas for some moves he's made, but he's been by far and away the best GM the Jets have had in years. The trades have all worked. Obviously, some of his draft picks have busted, but some of them have been really good, and he just needs more time. No GM's going to be perfect, but I think you could see the vision for the Jets here. Like, anyone that's down on the Jets, oh, they're never going to win. Like, I don't want to hear that woe is me garbage. Like, if you feel that way, just don't watch the channel, because this is a new regime that deserves the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. Am I frustrated as hell this defense stinks? Am I frustrated as hell that, the AFC East has all these teams playing well and the Jets are in last? Of course, but I see the bigger picture for where this team is going. And with another good draft and good offseason, the Jets should be in the mix for one of those 7 playoff spots next year, assuming Zach Wilson takes that next step. And let's hope he continues to play well down the stretch. But a pivotal turning point in Jets history will end up being the Adams trade, right? AVT is a building block. Now you factor in the cap space you gained by not having to pay Adams $18 million a year, and then factor in whatever this player ends up being. Like, imagine if the Jets turn the second Jamal Adams pick into Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, or they turn the second Jamal Adams pick into Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, or they turn the second Jamal Adams pick into Derek Stingley Jr. or a stud wide receiver, or we could dream, Jet fans. It's not going to happen, but I'll throw it out there anyway because I'm interviewing him later today. Aiden Hutchinson. Like, I'm just telling you, there's a plan that's in place for this team. They got the draft picks. They got the cap flexibility. We could see the early returns from the 2021 draft class looking pretty good. Now it's go time. Like, this offseason's go time for the New York Jets. You got your coach, you got your quarterback, you got the cap space, you got the draft picks. Now it's go time for the New York Jets. But the Jamal Adams trade will be a pivotal moment in franchise history because he's a really good player. Hasn't been as good since he's joined the Seahawks, but he was never worth $18 million a year. He was never worth the headache. And the fact of the matter is that the Jets turned him into 2 firsts and a third. And you already have AVT you could bank on. You wouldn't trade AVT for Jamal Adams straight up right now. You would laugh if Seattle wanted to try and make that deal to send Jamal Adams back. So you could get on Joe Douglas for moves. He hasn't been perfect. I'm not going to be a Joe Douglas defender. I've been critical at times for decisions that have been made, but this is one of the great trades in NFL history, period. There's not a single Seahawks fan that thinks that this has worked out. They got beat in the first round of the playoffs a year ago. Now a year later, they're going to miss the playoffs. Adams is hurt. Can't even help them win games down the stretch. Doesn't have a sack this year. And that pick right now is 5th overall. Anyone that tries to defend the Jamal Adams trade and say, oh, well, the Jets are going to bust on the picks. They already got one of the picks right. Smashing success. So you could suck it if that's your take. With that being said, I'm fired up today, as you guys could tell. I asked that if you're new to the channel, you like the video down below. Also, you can help me out by hitting the subscribe button on the right-hand side of your screen and continue to interact with me away from the show on Twitter at Jake Asman and Instagram at Jake Asman. Today, I'm broadcasting my local Houston radio show from the Rotary Lombardi Awards, which honors the best college football offensive linemen. Proceeds for the dinner. It's a big dinner. They benefit the American Cancer Society. The 4 honorees this year: Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, and Mike Rose from Iowa State. The first 3 guys I named would be excellent New York Jets. I'm interviewing all 4 of those guys on my radio show today. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, and I'll post some of the best clips from those guys. I'm going to definitely be asking Mr. Linderbaum how he feels about being the next great Jets center, right? How he feels about going from Kevin Mawai and Nick Mangold to Tyler Linderbaum. And then Aiden Hutchinson, I'm going to say, hey, I don't think you'll be there for the Jets, but you'd look great next to Carl Lawson and John Franklin Myers and Quinton Williams. And then Kenyon Green, I'm going to say, hey, we got AVT on one side. We got Kenyon Green on the other. It's a pretty good offensive line, don't you think? So we will certainly mix in some Jet questions into my interviews later today. With that being said, I want to open it up to some comments, some questions. What are you guys thinking here with the Jamal Adams trade that will go down as one of the best moves the New York Jets have made? Jets Forever writes in, Joe Douglas made one of the best trades in NFL history. Definitely top 5. I mean, the crazy thing is, look at the players that have gone for 2 first-round picks in recent NFL history, and then look at Jamal Adams. Like, I mean, Khalil Mack went for 2-1s. He plays edge rusher. Laramie Tunsil went for 2-1s and more. Thanks, Bill O'Brien. He plays left tackle. Jalen Ramsey went for 2-1s. Plays corner. Jamal Adams, 2-1s. Plays safety. It made no sense. It's not like Jamal Adams is Ed Reed. If he's Ed Reed, I'd get it. Then I'd say, Jets, you got to sign this guy. Not a box safety who's not good in coverage. Let's see. Jets Forever writes in Zach Cunningham, ? I talked about this on my Twitter account. If you want more info on the Zach Cunningham situation, at Jake Asman is where you need to follow me. Cunningham, I would pick up if I'm the Jets. He's still a good player. It didn't work for him here in Houston with a new regime. The Texans are a mess. I don't have time to get into all their issues right now. But Zach Cunningham's a good player. I'd bring him in. I think he's the guy that could help this team. He fills a need. If I'm Joe Douglas, I'm going all over. I'm placing a waiver claim on Zach Cunningham. His money this year is mostly paid out, so it's like $900,000 for the rest of the way. Bring him in. If he plays well, you can keep him for next year. If he doesn't, you could release him, and your cap hit is basically nothing. So I would take a flyer on Zach Cunningham. They tried it with Shaq Lawson, who was on the Texans, and Shaq hasn't been good, but he did have that one big play against the Bengals that helped them win that game with the interception. Cunningham to the Jets, sign me up. I'd be all about it. Kyle Hamilton was born for this Jets defense. I'm iffy on taking the safety that high. I understand Hamilton is a unique player. I got to see more and learn more about Hamilton before I truly weigh in on Hamilton being the guy for the Jets with one of their picks. Matt A writes in, I really hate to see Blitz Boy struggling. He hates being called Blitz Boy, by the way. I love that Jet fans have called him that, and it's gotten a reaction out of him. Greg Williams was an amazing defensive coach. I don't know why you guys ran him out in New York. Kev, Greg Williams was excellent in 2019. If you watched anything from the Jets defense in 2020, though, you know why. And plus, he sent the Kachunga blitz with undrafted rookie cornerback Lamar Jackson in coverage on Henry Ruggs, one of the fastest former wide receivers now in the NFL. And the Jets lost the game because of that. Now, at the time, I celebrated that win or that loss like it was a Jet win, but Greg Williams, his stay in New York was always going to be short-lived if you know anything about Greg Williams. As he can keep it simple, RC writes in, Greg Williams doesn't age well. See everywhere he's been. Let's see. What the heck is going on with all the injuries again this year? I thought we had a whole new department to help cut these down. Are they freak things or are they a cause for concern moving forward? Eric, your guess is as good as mine, my friend. I have talked about this. I don't know why it seems like the Jets every year have their 10 best players always hurt, but another year of it. I mean, they have changed the strength and conditioning people. They have added a health and science department. They're trying. It's not working. I do not know what the cause is of all these injuries. Some of them are fluky. Like Mekhi Becton's injury, he got rolled up on by his own teammate. You can't predict that. But some of the soft tissue stuff, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, my friend. I do not know. Friggle writes in, I think the Jets will knock it out of the park this offseason. From your lips to God's ears, they knock it out of the park this offseason. Move up for Hutchinson. I'm not against it. When you got 7 picks in the first 4 rounds, I'm not against it. Here, look, I'm going to keep the dream alive for Hutchinson, even though I think it's highly unlikely the Jets can get him. But here's the scenario where the Jets end up with Aiden Hutchinson. Right now, the New York Jets have the 4th overall pick in the draft and the 5th overall pick. Let's say one of those picks, either theirs or the Seattle pick, thank you, Jamal, will still be at number 4 or number 5. The scenario where the Jets end up with Aiden Hutchinson is the following. Detroit takes Kayvon Thibodeau, number 1. Jacksonville thinks they need a tackle over an edge rusher, so Evan Neal goes number 2. And the Texans fall in love with a quarterback, so they would take Kenny Pickett or Corral or Howe, whoever the guy is that's going to shoot up the draft board. Because even though it's not a good quarterback class, there's always guys that get overdrafted. Like, I just think someone maybe will be able to crack the top 5, even if it doesn't seem like that's the case right now. If that were to happen, and the Jets are there at 4, maybe there's a path for Hutchinson to go to the Jets. I don't think that happens, though. I'll tell you why. I think the Texans take Hutchinson, and then what happens is when they trade Deshaun Watson, they'll have an extra first-round pick this year. They use that pick on the quarterback in the teens or in the late 10s. That's how I think it plays out, more likely. But, look, if they end up with Hutchinson, I'll do cartwheels on this channel. Believe me. I'll even tell Aiden that today when I get a chance to interview him on ESPN Houston between 3 and 7 Central Time. Folks, you better be listening. Let's see what we got here. What's up with all the negativity on the 2021 draft? On the 2020 draft, still have plenty of time for them to be impactful. Yeah, look, Peter, the reality is the 2020 draft hasn't been as good as the 2021 draft. I'll tell you what, though, Mekhi Becton coming back playing well makes that draft still very successful because if you nail a franchise left tackle, that is important, I would say. I think most people watching would agree. Left tackle, pretty important position in football. And I think Mekhi Becton's a stud. He just got to get back out there. And then Bryce Hall was a 5th-round pick, and he's been great. So has it been perfect? No. Mims hasn't worked out. James Morgan hasn't worked out. Maybe Mims can salvage his year with Corey Davis now out. Mims can get some more opportunities. But I think the reality is the 2020 draft has not been great. It hasn't been awful. It hasn't been McCagnon level bad. You know, it hasn't been Christian Hackenberg in the 2nd round who never plays a snap in football bad, or Ja'Kai Polite in the 3rd round who's never played a snap ever in football bad. It hasn't been, the Isaac 12 bad, but it hasn't been good. 2021, though, that's been good. Let's see. Jason writes in, which turned out to be the worst trade for a team in retrospect? Jets, Seattle, Adams deal, the Miami, Houston, Tunzo deal. Asking in retrospect, not asking at the time. Jason, the Adams trade was worse for Seattle than the Tunsil deal was for the Texans. The reality is the Tunsil deal, the Texans are a disaster now, but they're bad for a variety of different reasons. The Tunsil deal did help the Texans go 11-5 in 2019, and they were up 24-0 less than 2 years ago in Kansas City in the divisional round of the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Texans win that game if they don't choke up 24-zip. They're hosting the AFC title game. Now they end up choking. They're a disaster. They're the worst team in the league right now, in my opinion. But the Jets traded Adams to Seattle. Seattle thought they were a Super Bowl team. They got bounced in the 1st round. And now, year 2, that draft pick's going to be in the top 5. Now, I get it. Last year, the Tunsil pick for the Texans was 3rd overall. They moved back with the Niners who came up for Trey Lance. But the reality is, I think without question, the Tunsil deal has been worse. Or excuse me, the Adams deal has been worse than the Tunsil deal. Because Laremy Tunsil's still the Texans' left tackle right now. Jamal Adams, he doesn't even help you. If the Texans have a rookie quarterback next year and they don't trade Tunsil, at least you have a really good left tackle protecting your young quarterback's blind side. Let's see. You guys are excited about the fact that I can recruit Linderbaum and Hutchinson later today. I am too, but I'm telling you, I think it's way more likely that Hutchinson's here in Houston than he is with the Jets. Benji writes in, Jake, would you take Greg Williams over Ulbrich next year? No, Benji, I just think that ship has sailed. I would take Rex Ryan over Ulbrich. I don't think that's going to happen either, but I don't think Rex would do it. But I think the Greg Williams ship has sailed. He's out of football this year. He overstays his welcome everywhere he's been. I don't think Robert Saleh and Greg Williams really jive. Saleh doesn't yell at players. He's not that type of coach. Greg Williams loves to scream and yell. I don't think it's a good fit. Do you think Cunningham will fall past Detroit and Jacksonville and waivers to even make it relevant for the Jets? I do. I think there's a chance he's there for the Jets. I don't know that for sure. I'd had to look into the Lions and Jaguars linebacker situation, but I think Cunningham's a good player. He'd be good for the Jets. Let's see. What did Joe Douglas get us? Well, he got you Elijah Vera Tucker with already one of the 1st-round picks from Jamal Adams. Adam Gase. No, Joe Douglas did not get you Adam Gase. You know who got you Adam Gase? The owner of the Jets, Christopher Johnson, who said at the Gase press conference that Adam Gase, to quote Wayne Gretzky, is coaching football to where it's going. That's what our owner said, baby. Smartest owners in football, the Johnson brothers. Can't even get the vaccine right either, because of course. What else do we have here? Over 100 watching and only 27 likes. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Yes, I got to sing for my supper on this channel, Eddie. You see what's happening here, brother? Please like and subscribe and do me a favor. Follow me on social media, man. Follow me on social media. I'll even do this for the Jet fans that follow me that are new to the channel. If you follow me on Twitter and Instagram and DM me, I'll send you a link to a secret website where you could get Jets jerseys for $30 or less. I'm going to throw that out there. You got to like, subscribe, and follow me on social media. But I'll throw that out there if I need to give an incentivized reason for you guys to continue to come out and support. Thanks to everyone who does, though. You guys are awesome. Are the interviews going to be live later? Yes, they're going to be between 3 and 3:50 Central Time, so 4 and 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Everything will be posted later. I'll try and clip the best and put it on YouTube. It's going to be audio only, though, because we're on remote, so we don't have our Twitch cameras going. So just stay tuned to the channel, and hopefully I'll get some content later from Aiden Hutchinson, Kenyon Green, and Tyler Linderbaum. No promises, because these events are usually messy, but that is the plan as of right now. EZ writes in, and thanks so much for the $5 contribution, EZ. Really appreciate your support. Just started watching football religiously this year, and the Jets is the team I want to support. They have so much potential for the 2022 season. All right, how should we handle this with EZ? Because I know there's a lot of diehard Jet fans here that will probably say, no, don't support the Jets. Root for a better team. And, like, I don't want to tell EZ that he shouldn't support the Jets because, look, like live it, I'm going to live and die with the Jets no matter what. Like, they could be bad for the rest of my life. I'm never going to root for another team. That's not what a fan does. So, EZ, if you pick the Jets, be ready for a lot of pain. I can't explain when the pain will happen, but just know it will happen. But hopefully, there's light at the end of the tunnel at some point. So I'm not going to tell you not to root for the Jets. I'm glad you found this channel. I'm glad you're supporting the channel, watching Jets content. But I want to warn you, being a Jet fan is not easy. All right? It builds character, but it is not easy. Smash the like button and subscribe. Hell yeah. That's what it's all about. Jason wants to ask a question about Brayden Mann. Thanks for watching from Jerusalem, by the way. Jason, happy belated Hanukkah to you. Is Brayden Mann given the job back next year, or does he have competition in training camp? I think Brayden Mann's still hurt. I think it's his job, but if they added competition in training camp as a camp arm, in training camp, you always add extra quarterbacks for camp arms, it's called. Add a camp punter. Honestly, Thomas Morstead should still be the punter right now, but the reality is Mann is the guy they drafted. He was good last year. He got plenty of reps last year with Adam Gase as the coach, but I think Brayden Mann's not 100% healthy. The Jets should get Zach Cunningham at linebacker. I agree. I think they should. Chris writes in, I want LaFleur to be our head coach. Sorry, not sorry. Chris, thanks for the contribution, brother. Appreciate it. Isn't it funny how the Jet fan went from Mike LaFleur's a dunce and we should throw him off the Brooklyn Bridge 6 games in to now we have someone articulating that he should be the head coach of the team. Isn't that funny how this works out? Here's what I would do. Don't change anything. The Jets never have a good OC. It seems like they actually have someone competent that knows what he's doing, that has the ability to make adjustments. LaFleur recognizing he needs to go up to the coaching booth is a legitimate, tangible adjustment we could point to. Leave him there. I still have faith in Robert Saleh. I think he needs better players. I think he does need to be more involved in the defense, but I'm not giving up on Robert Saleh after just 1 year. I'm not doing that. Anthony writes in, Douglas is a stud. Anyone asking him for him to get fired hasn't been watching the Jets. Look, the reality is Joe Douglas, has he done some good things? Absolutely. The best thing he's done is the Adams trade. That's what we opened the show talking about today. But he hasn't been perfect. But I think he's a good GM. I think there's a plan in place. Douglas certainly deserves to see out his plan. If you can't see the plan the Jets have, you're blind. Or you just hate the Jets and you're just going to be negative no matter what. I don't have patience for those people. Please don't watch my channel if you're one of those. We all could certainly do without you. I'm not going to sit here and defend Douglas and say he's the greatest GM ever, though. I think he's good. I think he's got a good plan. I think the 7 picks in the first 4 rounds and the $60+ million in cap space he has this offseason will define his time here. Obviously, so will the draft pick of Zach Wilson, the hiring of Saleh. But I think Douglas is certainly better than any GM the Jets have had in the last 15 years, right? The second Tannenbaum lost Mangini, the draft for the Jets started to stink. Izek, disaster. McCagnon, oh my God, disaster. Douglas has already hit on more picks than any of those guys in recent years, and he's got 4 picks in the top 40, 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. Cap space, let him see it out. Plus, let's give love to Joe Douglas on a free agent signing that's really worked out. George Fant has been incredible. George Fant has been really, really good. The Jets should absolutely pick up his $10 million cap hit for year 3. He's been really good. My guy at Jets X Factor, Michael Nadia, he noted that Sunday marked the 11th time in 12 games that Fant has allowed 2 or fewer pressures. He's allowed just 1 sack this season, over 502 pass blocking snaps. Fant ranks in the NFL's top 25 in sack percentage allowed. He's also been very good at blocking the run. George Fant has been a really good free agent signing by the Jets. That's how they've been able to overcome right now the loss of Mekhi Becton. So I am very bullish on this offseason. I think Douglas has done some good things, and I'm very excited to see, what he could do going forward. Gangrene writes in, just got in here. What do you really think is going on with Mekhi Becton? What I think is going on is everyone's body takes time to recover from injuries differently. I really think that's it. I don't think it's anything crazy other than, look, Mekhi Becton is a big dude, and recovery timelines are different for everyone. And I don't think the Jets should put him back out there unless he's 100% healthy. I don't think they should risk his long-term health for him to come back and playing some December games down the stretch. Easy writes in, I'm from New York, bro. Going with the underdogs. Look, if you're going with the underdogs, here are the teams you got to root for. You got to root for the New York Jets. And I'm also an Islanders fan. They actually won a game last night for the first time in a while, even though the Islanders have been excellent, been the best team in New York the last 2 years. You got to be a Knicks fan, because sorry to all the Net fans, but there's about 7 of you out there. So you definitely got to root for the Knicks. And then, look, I'm a Yankees fan, but I get it. Most Jet fans are probably more Met fans, but baseball, I'll leave that up to you. You do whatever you want. Let's see. JD, the best GM the Jets have ever had. I wouldn't go that far. Keep it simple, RC. I do think there's some real potential here for him, though. Friggle writes in. Friggle, thanks for the support, brother. Been doing some research. I think the Jets should sign right guard James Daniels and Dalton Schultz. Gives them flexibility to draft best player available throughout the draft. Friggle, I am not against addressing the O-line in free agency and tight end in free agency. I think tight end is one of those positions where you need a total resource allocation for. How many years in a row are the Jets going to neglect tight end? I'm sick and tired of it. Use free agency, sign Schultz, sign Gesicki, and then go out there in the draft and use one of your top 40 picks on a tight end. I'd be all for it. I think the Jets have neglected that position for far too long. When was the last time the Jets had a good tight end? Dustin Keller? Like, give me a break. Add a legitimate tight end and help Zach Wilson take the next step in year 2. JE writes in, Saleh is not that great of a defensive mind like I thought. Well, JE, I think the problem is, 1, the Jets' talent sucks. 2, they're in the first year of a new system. And 3, he's not as involved in the defense as I think he's going to have to be. I know that they want him to be a CEO and oversee the whole team. I think he's got to be more involved, though. I think Robert Saleh should step up, be more involved in the defense, because right now it's just not working. They're out of position. They look poorly coached. They're bad fundamentally. Saleh got this job because he was great with the Niners as their DC. I think he's got to be more involved in the defense going forward. Larry writes in, Parcells is the best GM we have ever had. You could certainly make the case, but Parcells also coached, so it's a unique circumstance where, Parcells obviously came to the Jets because, he wanted to pick the groceries and then make the meal as well, as he famously said with New England. So there you go. Jake, you follow my exact teams: Islanders, Yankees, Jets, and Knicks. It's a unique conversation. I get asked a lot because I'm from Long Island. I grew up in Syosset, New York, which is why I'm a huge New York Islanders fan. I grew up 5 minutes from where the Islanders would hold their practice at Iceworks in Syosset. So I'm a diehard Islanders fan, but I'm also, obviously, a Jet fan, a Knick. Well, everyone's a Knick fan for obvious reasons. And then the Yankees. I would say, I think the reality is that the reason why I am the way I am is because my dad grew up diehard Jets fan. His dad had season tickets at Shea Stadium. My dad's favorite player, I'm sure you can guess this, Joe Namath. So that's why I'm a Jets fan. Knicks fans, because everyone's a Knicks fan. Islander fan, because I grew up on Long Island. And the Yankee fandom comes from the fact that my uncle took me to my first baseball game. He's from Rockland County, and that was obviously a Yankee game. My dad didn't really like baseball that much. If my dad had been a baseball fan, I would have been a Met fan, and that would have been a nightmare. I know the Mets are on the rise. Steve Cohen, Moneybags, Max Scherzer, cool. But let me tell you, at least I've seen my team win championships because I'm a fan of the Yankees. So I'm a Met fan. I was not born in 1986. I would not have any recollection of the 86 Mets. What else we got here? Chris Baker is another former great Jets tight end. Look, Chris Baker made some plays on that 06 Jets team that went 10-6 with Chad and Mangini. No doubt about that. I'm worried we'll never see a full season from Becton. I wouldn't be opposed to using one of their first on Neal or depth or anything. I don't think the Jets go tackle in the first round. I'm not against them continuing to address the offensive line, but I think Mekhi Becton's going to be okay. I'm not out on Mekhi Becton. I'd like to see him go out there and get healthy and play by the end of the year, but Mekhi's injury was a fluky injury. Like, he got rolled up on by his own teammate. Like, I don't think that means he's injury prone. John writes in, I grew up on the island and watched the rise of the Islanders. There you go. All right. The Who writes in, I attended Southampton College. Love Long Island. There we go. Strong Island. Mike's from Westbury. Used to walk to Islanders games. I used to go to Islanders games at the Coliseum. I would leave my house in Syosset at 6:30. I'd park at Nassau Community College, get to the Coliseum within like a 15-minute drive going on the Southern State. I guess it'd be the Northern State to the Meadowbrook to the Coliseum, parked at Nassau Community College before they got wind that people were doing this and gave out tickets, snuck in through the fence that was open because the Coliseum's a shithole, as we all know, would go right through the fence at the Coliseum and then be able to be in my seat, sitting down, watching an Islander game by puck drop at 7:05. Like, the Islanders playing at the Coliseum, yes, the Coliseum was a dump, but similar to Shea Stadium, it was our dump. I'll miss the convenience of being able to go to games at the Collie. I'll be home, though, in New York at the end of December. I look forward to going to UBS for the first time. Let's see what we got here. I'm sure I'm missing some. Stay with me, guys, as I try and get to as many of the questions as possible. Hold on one moment here. I see we're debating who the best GM is in Jets history. Excuse me. Let's see what we got here. AZN wants to see Kenny Yeboah getting some reps at tight end. He can't block too well, but we may be able to use him as a pass catcher, as an extra safety blanket for Zach. Yeah, look, if Yeboah can get on the field, I think they'd play him. I think if he's not getting on the field, that kind of tells you all you need to know about a guy that went undrafted and was a free agent pickup. Let's see what we got here. Mike Tannenbaum was able to get us to 2 AFC championship games. Would like to see JD's teams make a few playoff runs before we announce them as the greatest. AZN, I agree. I am not saying Joe Douglas is the greatest GM in Jets history. I think you're responding to those in the comment section on the show. The reality is Tannenbaum was not a bad GM. He made some good moves, but let's also call for what it is. The second Mangini left, there was a precipitous drop-off in the Jets drafts. Like, the reason why the Jets became a mess after 2010 is because they started drafting terrible players. They drafted Kyle Wilson, right? They drafted, I'm not even going to name the players they drafted. I don't want this pain on a Wednesday. I don't want to go through it. But, the problem was with the Jets after 2010 is they gave Sanchez the extension. He was never good enough to carry our team on his own. The talent got worse around him. They were an aging team with veterans. They didn't bring back Jericho Cotchery, and they crashed. They crashed, and that led the way to John Izek, who then was even worse than Tannenbaum. That set up the Rex versus Izek situation. Coach and GM not aligned. Wasted 2 years. McCagnon comes in with Bulls. They have the Fugazi 10-6 season in 2015. Blow it week 17, and the Jets have been bad ever since. And that's really how we got to where we're at right now with this team. Parcells was the best coach. His drafts were mediocre. Parcells' drafts were not great with the Jets. Parcells was great at getting the right type of player for the Jets and getting the Jets to buy in and play. I mean, Keyshawn Johnson would be the first to tell you that the 96 Jets actually had some good players on it. They just had arguably the worst coach in the history of the sport in Rich Kotite. Like, that was the problem with the 96 Jets. And then Parcells gets there in 1997. They win 9 games. They're on the cusp of the playoffs. Obviously, 98, they go all the way to the championship game and should have won that game and then won the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. And then obviously 99, Vinny blows out his Achilles in week 1. And what do you do? So Parcells, I think, was the best head coach the Jets have had, arguably. I mean, not named Weeb Eubank because you actually, did this thing called win a championship, but his drafts were not great. And the biggest knock on Parcells I'd give you from a Jet perspective, he should have just told Archie Manning, hey, we're taking your son number 1 if he comes out. Parcells not doing that prevented the Jets from getting Peyton Manning. And if that happens, guess who never exists? Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady's never in New England. Because Belichick probably takes over for Parcells. With the Jets, if Peyton Manning's the quarterback. Keep that in mind. Sorry to bring up old memories for the older Jet fans that watch this video. All right. With that being said, we've gone for about 40 minutes here. Love doing this. Always fun to interact. If you're new to the show, do me a huge favor. Subscribe, baby. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on the right-hand side of your screen. You also could like this video down below. Liking the video is free. more likes, the more people will have this video show up in their home feeds on YouTube, and that helps the channel continue to grow. Once again, to interact with me, Twitter, Instagram, at Jake Asman is where you can follow and comment your thoughts after the video on the fact that the Jets continue to dominate the Jamal Adams trade. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to watch this video. I see BD writes in, "Oh, the pain," as Joe Beningo would say. Update on Joe B. We are still in the process of getting him on the channel. That will happen at some point soon. Thanks to everyone who takes time to watch the video. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Show. Enjoy your day. Check back to the channel in the next couple of days. Should have some exclusive interviews with some potential Jets draft prospects. See you, everybody.